When it comes to extreme sailing, sailing regattas are the crown jewels of this noble water sport. Sailing competitions on a national or international level, with the participation of a large number of sailboats or yachts, are traditionally called regattas. Regattas are governed by formal rules which are based on centuries of tradition. They are either solitary long-distance races, or might consist of multiple individual races, where the racing team, that performs best by winning the highest number of the series of races, becomes the overall winner. Some of the world's most famous sailing regattas are notorious for being extremely demanding, challenging, and sometimes even dangerous, but they are also highly prestigious for the skipper, and the members of the winning team. Sailing regattas need to be classified in order to ensure a fair chance for every participant to win. This classification is done through the implementation of formats, namely fleet, match, and handicap racing. In fleet racing, the same type of sailboats compete against each other. Competitions are restricted only to vessels of the same design, mono or multi-hull, and rigging. The racing rules are set by the association of that class. Match races are duels 1 versus 1. Two teams of the same type of sailing vessel compete in a preliminary round, and each participating team must race against all the others. The winner is determined by the highest score accumulated during these preliminary rounds. Handicap races are fleet races that are held among vessels belonging to different classes, such as between ketches and catamarans. By implementing special measurement and ranking systems, the regatta organizers create artificial equality between all participants. In terms of levels or status, all sailing events can be conveniently classified into professional and professional amateur ones. The first group includes Olympic events, and the second group contains all famous regattas with the involvement of corporate sponsors. The Summer Olympic Games traditionally host professional sailing events. To get accreditation at the Olympic Games, the athletes are required to prove their competence in the qualifiers. The spots for the Olympic Games are granted to the winners of the World Sailing Championships, the Asian Games, the Pan American Games, and the Continental Qualifying Regattas. Individual class competitions for professional crews are also available. The highest rank is the World Championship in one's class. The prize fund can be in the form of medals, trophies, and the draw of spots for the next Olympic Games. The prize can also be a category upgrading, either to Candidate Master of Sailing, or to Master of Sailing, or even to the highest level, the Honored Master of Sailing. Professional amateur sailing events include all the largest international sailing regattas, which not only give the possibility for non-professional athletes to take part in the competitions, but also allow less experienced sailors, yachtsmen, and amateurs with no Master of Sailing or Olympic Games participant titles to become part of a racing crew. Regattas of this level take place under financial, technical, and information support of sponsors and partners, while the prize fund may include not only luxury trophies awarded to the winners in each division, and overall standing, but also large sums of money and valuable gifts. Due to different reasons, a sailing regatta can become a difficult, and even dangerous undertaking. There can always be plenty of traumatic moments on a racing yacht. Crew members can get tangled up in ropes, and fall down. They can overhear commands, and will get a hit on the head, or suffer other injuries, or more dangerously, might get involved in a man overboard situation. The psychological aspects play a major role in a sailor's performance during a regatta. Going out into the open sea without visible shores, in difficult weather or wind conditions, or long swaying on high waves without moving forward, are just some of the difficulties that yachtsmen face. The result is discomfort, panic, bad health, and a desire to end this ordeal as soon as possible. It is therefore immensely important to only participate in regattas that match your qualifications, and allow you to stay within your limitations. Jumping above your head, and, for example, trying to circumnavigate the world on your own as a solo sailor, is rather unlikely to work. The following 5 races have the reputation of being the world's most challenging sailing regattas. Vendée Globe is a single-handed, non-stop, around-the-world sailing regatta. Since 1992, the race has taken place every 4 years. The race sets off from its starting and finishing port of Les Sables-d'Olonne, in an area called Vendée, on the Atlantic coast of France. This challenging regatta starts in November in order to avoid the worst weather conditions, by sailing the Southern Ocean stage of the race, in the Southern Hemisphere summer. The designated route has a length of 24,300 nautical miles or 45,000 kilometers. In 2017 it was covered in a record-breaking duration of 74 days, 3 hours and 35 minutes. 2 skippers died in 1992, and the last death occurred during the race in 1997, all were lost at sea. The next Vendée Globe will start in 2024. The Ocean Race is a round-the-world sailing regatta for yachts, which is organized every 3 years. The initial race was held in 1973, under the name of Whitbread Round the World Race. The regatta changed its name in 2001, to Volvo Ocean Race, and in 2019 renamed it to Ocean Race. The first 4 regattas started and finished in Portsmouth, followed by Southampton for another 4 races. In 2005 the starting harbour moved to Vigo, followed by Alicante. This challenging regatta covers a distance of 32,000 nautical miles or 60,000 kilometers, and takes around 6 months to finalize. The next ocean race will start on January 15, 2023, in Alicante, Spain, and is expected to finish on July 1, 2023, in Genova, Italy. The route will lead to 9 international harbors on 4 continents. The Golden Globe Race, or GGR, has some key similarities with Vendée Globe. Both regattas start and finish in the port of Les Sables-d'Olonne, France. Both races are exclusively reserved for single-handed sailing around the globe. The route of GGR is selected for an eastbound circumnavigation, over a distance of 30,000 nautical miles or 55,500 kilometers, and it contains 4 rendezvous gates. This demanding sailing regatta was first held in 1968, and since then it is repeated every 4 years. The last GGR was in 2022, hence the next race is planned to set sail in 2026. The Veluxe 5 Oceans Race is another single-handed around-the-world yacht race. The initial race was held in 1982, and was named the BOC Challenge. The regatta was renamed Around Alone in 1998, and since 2006, this sailing event is called Veluxe 5 Oceans Race. The solo yachtsmen, who accept the challenge of participating in this single-handed race, belong to the world's most revered sailors, often risking their boats and their lives during the long legs of the race. So far, the last Veluxe 5 Oceans race started in La Rochelle, France, on October 17, 2010, and ended after 30,100 nautical miles or 55,800 kilometers in the same port on May 27, 2011. There is currently no information on when the next race will be organized. The Clipper Round the World Yacht Race is the only event of its type. Anyone, even if they have never stepped on a boat before, can join the adventure. As the name indicates, this regatta is an over 40,000 nautical miles around the world race in 8 legs, which consists of up to 16 individual races. The first Clipper race started in Plymouth in October 1996. One unique feature of this regatta is the fact that each racing route is different, which led to the opportunity for more than 50 cities to become hosting ports of the Clipper Round the World Yacht Race. The last race so far ended on July 30, 2022, in London. After these 5 most challenging sailing races, I will now proceed to introduce the world's 6 most prestigious regattas. America's Cup World Series, as a racing event, is the record holder for the longest existing international competition in any category of sports. The initial regatta was held in 1851, and the 19th century racing schooner America was the first winner of the famous Silver Trophy, hence the name America's Cup. Traditionally, all America's Cup races happen between only 2 competing racing yachts from prestigious yacht clubs, namely between a defender and a challenger for the Cup. The attending racing yachts in 2013 and 2017 were specially designed catamarans of the classes AC-72 and AC-50 respectively. In 2021, the competing team sailed with AC-75 class boats, with fixed design features, including a 75 feet, or 23 meters monohull with hydrofoils, resembling wings, installed under the hull, instead of a keel, and a soft wing sail as the boat's rig. The next America's Cup World Series race will be held in 2024, in Barcelona. The winner of 2021, Emirates Team New Zealand, will act as the defender on their AC-75 class racing yacht de Regattas. For the 50th time, the Rolex Fastnet race will set sail on July 22, 2023. The 695 nautical miles or 1,287 kilometers course starts in Cowes, Isle of Wight, and sails around the famous Fastnet Rock, towards the finishing harbour of Cherbourg and Cotentin. This traditional regatta is organized by the Royal Ocean Racing Club, and the awarded trophy is called the Fastnet Challenge Cup. The initial Fastnet race was held in 1925, and since then the regatta happened every 2 years, with a break of 8 years during World War II. The Fastnet race is open to monohull and multi-hull racing yachts of type catamarans and trimarans, to compete in different categories. The race record of 42 hours and 39 minutes for monohulls is set in 2011, while the multi-hull race record of 28 hours 2 minutes is from 2019. The Rolex Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race is an annual event, hosted by the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, in cooperation with the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania. First held in 1945, the race starts every year on December 26 in Sydney. The competing yachts head south through the Tasman Sea, past the Bass Strait, into Storm Bay, and up the Derwent River, to cross the finish line in Hobart, Tasmania. The race distance is 630 nautical miles or 1,170 kilometers. Due to the harsh weather conditions, this regatta is widely considered to be one of the most difficult yacht races in the world. In 1998, the race became a major disaster when wild storms took their toll. The 115-yacht fleet sailed into the worst weather in the regatta's history. 6 sailors died, and just 44 yachts survived the gale force winds and mountainous seas to finish the race. Nevertheless, Sydney to Hobart remains to be a significant attraction for the global sailing community. As the name indicates, the Panerai Classic Yachts Challenge is actually a series of regattas that are exclusively open for the participation of classic racing yachts only. The North American series consists of several regattas across 3 racing districts: Maine, Massachusetts, and the District of Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New York. Close to 200 different yachts usually compete in several races, such as the Corinthian Classic Yacht Regatta, Nantucket Regatta, Opera House Cup, Newport Classic Regatta, and Herreshoff Classic Regatta. The Mediterranean circuit of Panerai Classic Yachts Challenge is equally important as the North American series. To win the overall Panerai Vintage and Grand Prix Division Series awards, competing teams need to score in at least 8 possible regattas. The best 3 race scores will determine the series winner. The Trans-Pacific Yacht Race, also known as Transpac, is a traditional regatta that is organized by the Trans-Pacific Yacht Club since 1906 biennially. The course of this 2,025 nautical miles or 3,750 kilometers ocean race starts in Los Angeles and finishes in Honolulu, Hawaii. The 52nd edition of Transpac is planned to set sail on June 27, 2023. The regatta is open to entry for offshore-capable racing and cruising monohull yachts, from 30 to 100 feet in length. Like Transpac, the Newport to Bermuda race is a regatta with a long history and tradition of sailing in the Atlantic Ocean. The initial race was held back in 1906, and the 52nd edition of this biennial regatta finished on June 27, 2022, in Bermuda. This 635 nautical miles, or 1,176 kilometers long regatta, sees competitors leave Newport and sail south-southwest, straight to Bermuda, almost entirely out of sight of land. In a typical race, the fleet enters the Atlantic and the Gulf Stream with rough water. After clearing this zone, the sailors press on to the finish off St. David's Lighthouse, then winding channel to Hamilton, Bermuda, to the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. According to the tradition, the winner's trophy is handed over in a ceremony by the governor of Bermuda. Humans have enjoyed racing each other with whatever craft they can find for centuries. Boat racing is an ancient tradition, as numerous works of art from ancient times indicate. Sailing regattas are a symbol of the pinnacle for high achievers, and today they are often regarded as the last big adventure of humanity. Once you get involved in the regatta, not only as a skipper or a racing team member, but also as a spectator of the start or the finish of a race, sailing will start to play a major role in your life. That's simply because it is a marvelous water sport that creates the feeling of ultimate freedom. You're on the water, battling with and against the elements. The moment you hoist the sails, and the wind fills them, propelling you forward, and allowing you to turn off the motor, is always special. I hope you are already sharing this passion.